and welcome to our daily word this morning. It's Tuesday. Glad you could join me for our continued conversation through Scripture. It is a beautiful Tuesday morning, and we continue to gather together. As always, I'm grateful for our time together. I'm grateful that you would carve out time to be with me, and that you offer a greeting so that I know you're watching. And we've been on this long journey together. And so today is daily word number 791 on this long journey. So thanks for joining me this morning as we continue our conversation. So I've chosen for this morning just a couple of verses from chapter 18 in the book of Exodus. And we pick up in the middle here, but I'm going to talk about the rest of the chapter a little bit. But we pick up in the middle here. Moses is leading the people of Israel to the promised land, and they are making their way. And so we hear this, but the context of the story is larger, but it's too large to read it to all of you. So if you have a chance, go to chapter 18 in Exodus and just read that conversation with Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, and Moses, and hear what happens. But we hear these words. Moses' father-in-law said to him, "What you're doing is not good. You will surely wear yourself out, both you and these people with you, for the task is too heavy for you. You cannot do it alone." So in this chapter, Moses sends his wife and his two sons back to their father, to his father-in-law. And then Jethro sends word that he's coming back. And so they arrive back, and I'm going to kind of capsulize the story a bit. They come back, and what Jethro witnesses is the hard life that Moses has encountered in leading the people of Israel. He has to deal with the old people and the young people, sickness and health, and the death of people and the birth of new babies. And he has to act as judge. And Jethro watches Moses sit at a place, and day and night, people sit around Moses and come to him with their disputes. And Moses has to settle all of them. Now, we know the rest of the story, right? Moses has to deal with them being angry about not having enough to eat, angry about them being angry about, not having enough to drink. Are they going in circles? Why did you bring us out here? Getting stuck at the Red Sea. The list goes on. And so Moses is doing all of these things, and his father-in-law pulls him aside, interestingly enough, and they go into the tent, and they offer burnt offerings to God. And Jethro says these words to Moses. "Look, Moses, what you're doing is not good. You will surely wear yourself out. And the people too, because what you're doing is too heavy. You can't do it alone. You can't be judge and jury overseeing all the disputes." Moses' father-in-law names the problem. Moses can't be all things to all people. He must clarify the work that God calls him to do, and then find leaders to help him the rest of the way. Moses can't do it alone. If you read the rest of the story, Moses heeds the advice of Jethro and gets a bunch of help. Appoints somebody over thousands, somebody over hundreds, somebody over 50s and 10s, the scripture says. And Moses then lives out his call to lead the people of Israel, not get caught up in all this other stuff. Moses can't do it alone. And neither can I, and neither can you. Now, I don't know about Moses' personality type, but I'm guessing he had much of the personality of me, but I know mine. And I know, that sometimes you get a thrill when you feel indispensable. And we can tell ourselves there's work that is ours to do and only ours to do, that others can't do as well as me or as thoroughly as me. And I know how pride and ego, I had a conversation with a friend yesterday about this, about ego, gets in the way because we think our capacity is larger than it really is. We can't go it alone. I can't go it alone. You can't go it alone. Whatever it might be. And the lists are long. I tell that to my kids. You know, they don't always heed my advice. But I always say to them, look, just call me. Just let me help. I know that physically I'm not very strong anymore, and I can't get on my hands and knees, and I can't crawl under a car, I can't cut firewood, but I can do lots of other things. And Carter has to go to the doctor today, and I kept saying to Dustin and Mindy, look, I can get him at school and meet Mindy at the doctor with him. This is not a big deal because you know it's fall. Dustin's a farmer. He's really busy right now. I didn't hear anything until early this morning. And Dustin said, Dad, I'm going to need you to get Carter. We can't go it alone. And I think we find ourselves in this struggling world, you know, where we think we are indispensable and we're not. I've said in the last couple of days, I myself am understaffed. And I kind of, you know, this is not some grand admission because I think if you all know me, you know me well enough to know that the struggle is real for me right now. Sunday was a prime example, you know, of trying to do the choir thing, which I thought was really cool, trying to do all the World Communion stuff, which I thought went really extremely well, all the extra music that we were trying to do. And when we got ready to pray the prayer of thanksgiving at the end of communion, I was out of breath. I was done. I couldn't do any more. And it was a reminder to me about what Jethro said to Moses. Look, you got to figure out how to do this better. Now, look, I frankly don't know how to do it better. But I think for all of us, we're challenged to listen to Jethro and to hold each other up, you know, to support each other, to have each other's back, you know, to give each other a break, if you will. And so I read this text thinking, man, Moses, you're exactly where I'm at. I'm not Moses. I didn't mean that. Don't hear me say that. But I'm like, Moses, I know where you're at, man. I can't do it anymore either. And maybe that's the best admission for us to make. I can't do it anymore. And so for all of us, we have to find ways to accomplish what we need to, what God's called us to, which is what Moses had to figure out. Moses had to find the right help that he needed to do what God called him to do. And the call of Moses, right, was to lead people to the promised land. And so you and I, as we live our lives, let's help each other. Let's hold each other up. Let's have each other's back. Let's love each other in powerful ways. Let's do that to the best of our ability, because whatever the it is for you and for me, we can't do it alone. And that's a valuable lesson for us to learn. So thanks for joining me this morning. I appreciate it. Join me tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock as we meet again. So as always, know of God's love for you and know of my love for you. Have a great day.